In the not-so-distant future, Earth found itself standing on the edge of a vast and terrifying unknown, far beyond the familiar stars that had long inspired poets and dreamers. A dark shadow was creeping closer, a shadow cast by a ruthless alien coalition known as the Veil. This coalition wasn't interested in negotiation or friendship. Their mission was chilling in its clarity: to wipe humanity from the galactic map entirely, to erase Earth from all records as if it had never existed. The Veil's technology was unlike anything humans had ever faced. Their ships moved silently, cloaked in strange energies that made them almost invisible to Earth's early warning systems. They wielded weapons that could level entire cities with a single blast, and their fleets outnumbered and outclassed anything humanity could muster. Across the globe, people watched the skies with growing dread as governments scrambled to prepare defenses that felt inadequate against an enemy so vast and so unknown. Among these anxious souls was Jack Morrison, a man whose calm exterior masked the fire within. Once a celebrated pilot and military ace, Jack had left the service to become an engineer, crafting machines and tools that pushed humanity's limits. Now, as the world teetered on the brink of disaster, Jack could not stand by. He saw the fear in people's eyes, the helplessness in the faces of leaders who knew their best efforts might not be enough. When the first of the Veil's reconnaissance fleet appeared in orbit, their massive forms drifting silently against the backdrop of Earth's blue sky, a quiet but fierce determination ignited in Jack. He knew the time for waiting was over. Volunteering for a desperate strike team, Jack joined a small group of pilots and engineers tasked with striking back, with doing something that could change the course of the coming war. Every moment was tense. Every decision felt like a choice between survival and extinction. The world held its breath as these few brave souls prepared to face an enemy whose power dwarfed their own. Yet, within Jack's heart burned the unyielding belief that humanity was not so easily erased that despot, Ethads, the spirit of Earth's people, could light a fire strong enough to challenge even the darkest shadow. As the countdown to confrontation began, the silence of space grew heavy with promise and peril, and Jack Morrison stepped forward into the unknown, ready to fight not just for himself, but for the future of every living thing on his planet. Jack Morrison and his team moved like shadows under the cold glow of distant stars, preparing to strike at the heart of the Veil's power, a forward operating base that hovered ominously near a fractured asteroid belt. The base was heavily guarded, a fortress of alien steel and energy shields designed to repel any attack. Despite the overwhelming strength of their enemy, Jack's mind raced with plans, ideas born from years of experience and a refusal to accept defeat. He knew that brute force would only lead to destruction. Instead, he relied on ingenuity and unpredictable tactics to give humanity a fighting chance. Every move was calculated, every second filled with tension as they slipped past patrol drones and laser grids. Jack's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the fierce determination that burned inside him. When the moment came, he and his team unleashed a carefully crafted surprise, a blend of old Earth technology adapted with human creativity, targeting the core systems of one of the Veil's largest ships docked at the base. The ship, a dark giant pulsing with alien energy, suddenly shuddered as critical systems failed one by one. Lights flickered, alarms wailed, and the silence that had filled the base turned into chaos. Jack's strike was more than a tactical victory. It was a message sent through the cold void of space. Humanity would not vanish quietly, would not fold beneath the Veil's shadow without a fight. Back on Earth, news of the attack spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the planet where hope had been dimming. People who had felt powerless now saw a spark. a sign that resistance was possible. Small groups of fighters, scattered and uncoordinated until now, began to organize. Emboldened by Jack's success, the Veil, however, did not react with the calm of a patient predator. Their response was swift and brutal. Their fleets tightened around Earth, deploying more ships and launching relentless strikes against human defenses. Cities and military outposts felt the pressure as resources dwindled and fear grew. Jack's team found themselves pushed to the edge, their victories hard-won and costly. Yet, even as the enemy's grip grew tighter, the spirit of resistance burned brighter than ever. The battle lines drawn in the stars mirrored a deeper struggle within every human soul to survive, to fight, and to reclaim the future that was theirs by right. In these moments of darkness and danger, Jack Morrison stood as a beacon, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it refused to surrender. The war was far from over, and the path ahead was uncertain, but the spark that Jack had ignited would not be extinguished. It was a spark that promised not only survival, but the beginning of a fierce and unyielding fight for freedom. The calm before the storm shattered as the Veil unleashed their full might upon Earth, sending wave after wave of massive warships to crush the remaining pockets of resistance. Earth's skies blazed with fire as defense systems fought desperately against an enemy whose strength seemed endless, their ships cutting through human fleets like knives through paper. Amid the chaos, Jack Morrison stepped forward once again, volunteering for a mission that many called suicidal, a deep space strike, aimed directly at the heart of the enemy, the Veil's flagship, a colossal vessel that commanded their entire fleet and held the key to their power. The plan was simple in its deadly complexity: slip through a gauntlet of alien warships, evade detection, and disable the flagship's command systems from within. As Jack launched into the cold darkness of space, his every nerve tingled with tension. His ship darted through the void like a phantom, weaving between blasts of alien fire and streams of enemy fighters, relying on his years of experience and quick reflexes to stay alive. The enemy's sensors were sharp, their patrols relentless, but Jack's determination was sharper. His mind raced, anticipating every move, every trap, every possible danger lurking in the shadows of space. When he finally breached the outer defenses of the flagship, the enormity of the ship overwhelmed him, its hull stretching like a fortress, alive with strange lights and humming with an eerie power. Slipping inside, Jack moved through alien corridors that pulsed with unknown energy, the air thick with a sense of cold menace. It was here, in the silent heart of the enemy's might, that he uncovered a truth more horrifying than he had imagined. The Veil's mission was not merely to conquer or destroy. Their goal was far darker. They sought to rewrite history itself, erasing entire civilizations from existence, not only by force, but by bending reality, deleting records and memories across the galaxy. Earth was just one target in a vast, systematic plan to control the past and the future, to ensure that no rebellion could ever rise again. This knowledge struck Jack like a blow, but it also steeled his resolve. He was not just fighting for survival, he was fighting to preserve truth, memory, and hope itself. With a fierce urgency, Jack set to work, planting explosives and hacking into the ship's systems, all while navigating the labyrinthine passages and avoiding patrols that could end his mission and his life at any moment. Time was against him, the enemy's reinforcements closing in with deadly precision. But Jack's spirit burned brighter in the darkness, fueled by the knowledge that failure would mean more than defeat. It would mean the end of everything he held dear. As the countdown to detonation began, Jack made his way back to his ship, dodging enemy fire and barely escaping the crumbling flagship as it exploded in a brilliant flash that lit the stars. The destruction of the flagship sent shockwaves through the Veil fleet, throwing their forces into chaos and buying Earth precious time. Jack returned home not just as a survivor, but as a warrior carrying a vital truth and a renewed hope that the fight was far from over, and that humanity's spirit was a force the universe could not erase. With the devastating loss of their flagship sending shockwaves through their ranks, the Veil fleet found itself disorganized and vulnerable for the first time since their campaign against Earth began. Jack Morrison, armed with the critical secrets he had uncovered within the enemy's command ship, seized this rare opportunity with fierce determination. Using hacked alien communications and commandeered weapons systems from the destroyed flagship, Jack became the master of the battlefield in space, turning the Veil's own power against them. His mind raced as he coordinated with Earth's scattered forces pilots, engineers, and resistance fighters who had been battered but not broken. Through encrypted channels and improvised relays, he guided their attacks, directing precision strikes against key enemy vessels and supply lines. The atmosphere was tense, every message crackling with urgency, every decision a gamble that could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Jack's knowledge of the alien technology allowed him to disable shields, redirect weapon fire, and create confusion within the Veil's fleet, making the most heavily armed and intimidating ships vulnerable to attacks from smaller, faster human vessels. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. One by one, alien warships exploded into bright fireballs or drifted helplessly, their systems failing under relentless human assault. The resilience and creativity of Earth's defenders shone through the darkness, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a species that refused to be erased. The battle was brutal and costly, with sacrifices made by brave pilots who flew into impossible odds to protect their home. Yet, the victories grew, and hope blossomed amid the chaos. Jack's daring gamble did more than just save Earth from immediate destruction. It sent a clear, unyielding message across the stars. Humanity was alive, fierce, and not to be underestimated. Far from being the helpless prey the Veil had expected, humans proved to be formidable adversaries who could learn, adapt, and strike back with precision and courage. As the last of the Veil's ships retreated into the void, battered and broken, Jack stood among the heroes of Earth, his eyes fixed on the horizon beyond the war. The victory was hard-won, but it marked a new beginning, one where Earth would no longer hide in the shadows, but claim its rightful place in the galaxy. The spark of resistance had become a blazing fire, fueled by courage, unity, and the unbreakable will to survive and thrive. With the Veil fleet shattered and driven back into the dark reaches of space, Earth stood at a crossroads, bruised but unbroken, ready to rise stronger than ever before. The world's cities, scarred by the battles that had threatened to erase humanity, now buzzed with a new energy, not just of rebuilding, but of hope and determination. Jack Morrison, once a lone pilot and engineer, had become a symbol of that hope, celebrated as a hero who had dared to challenge an impossible enemy and lived to bring Earth back from the brink. Yet, beneath the applause and honor, Jack remained focused, knowing this victory was not the end but the beginning of a far greater journey. He understood that surviving the Veil's attack was only the first step. Humanity had to ensure its survival by reaching beyond the boundaries of Earth itself. Plans were already underway to establish colonies on the Moon, Mars, and beyond, outposts where humanity could learn, grow, and defend itself from any future threats lurking in the vastness of space. As Jack worked alongside scientists, pilots, and leaders, a new hope began to take shape. Earth would no longer be a quiet backwater in the galaxy, but a rising star among the cosmic community. To everyone's surprise, the fight against the Veil had attracted attention from distant corners of the Universe civilizations who had once watched silently now reached out as allies, sharing knowledge, technology, and friendship. These new partnerships hinted at a future where humanity would not face the unknown alone, but as part of a broader network of civilizations committed to peace and mutual survival. Jack often stood beneath the night sky, looking up at the stars with a mixture of awe and resolve. He knew the shadows cast by the veil were not gone forever, and that the galaxy held many challenges ahead. But for the first time in a long time, he believed in humanity's place among the stars not as victims, but as explorers, warriors, and builders of a future that would shine brightly for generations to come. Earth was no longer hidden in fear. It was ready to shine boldly, to claim its destiny, and to prove that the human spirit, once pushed to the edge, could rise stronger, brighter, and more determined than ever before.